you have to understand something about South Africa. People call South Africa the Saudi Arabia of minerals. It has uranium. It has about 25% of the world's uranium. It has gold. It has diamonds. It has coal. It has, you name it, it's got it. Okay? So what began to happen was that South Africa became a major trading partner of Israel. Now, all the dealings with the African governments were under the Labour Party. Now, Ehud Barak's, who's the defense minister, his party, okay? And they started out originally, oh, we're opposed to apartheid, gracious no. But as I say, as the African countries began to break, they began to very reluctantly shift, okay? Now, what he doesn't have in the book, but I know from other sources, is that as they started dealing with Ghana and those countries about 1957, 58, by 1961, the Israelis were taking CIA money for this kind of arrangement with the African governments, okay? Mm-hmm. And when, after the 73 war, when Israel formed an open alliance with South Africa, again, you get this kind of, America is not displeased, no matter what it says publicly. It's not displeased because, number one, all of those minerals, a lot of those minerals in South Africa were owned by foreigners, the companies, etc. Number two, I mean, just to show you how things have changed, in 1950, the South Africans were part of the American alliance in the Korean War. Yes, brave, white, male, heterosexual South African freedom fighters were out there fighting godless atheistic communism, etc. So as the Africans began to win more and more independence, and then the Portuguese had to get out of Angola, etc., all of that kind of stuff, what began to happen was that the South Africans began to fight the Africans in Angola. Okay. Now, part of the development, as you pointed out, the Israelis offered to sell missiles with atom warheads to the South Africans. The South Africans actually turned it down, and he shows that they did. That no, thank you, because they wanted to develop their own atom bomb and their own missiles.
And they did.
Why don't you come down here and help us?
And they did.
And they did. You get that's how it actually happened. And it reached the point where the collaboration was so severe that in 1979, the Israelis tested an atom bomb off the coast of South Africa. And it was discovered by the Americans, because by that time we had all kinds of satellites, and by an accident, a weather accident, they actually saw the flash. Okay, and then the American government went through a whole song and dance. Well, we're not sure who done what to who, what is it, an atom bomb, etc., etc. But the reality is that they wanted the South Africans to be the Americans wanted the South Africans to be a strong power, because there were 40,000 Cuban troops helping the Angolans, and the Angolan military and the Cubans were armed by the Soviet Union.
You don't mention Mozambique, which is also going on.
Same thing.
Which is a worse crime.
All right.
Mozambique throws off the Portuguese, and almost immediately the South Africans, Russians start this civil war, and people say 1 million people died because of that.
All right, but understand that it isn't the Russians starting the civil war; it's the South Africans starting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, let me put it this way:
And all this time, when these horrors are going on, the Israelis are there sending the weapons, Rabin, Perez, and then Likud gets in.
Well, let me take it even a step further than that. Israeli generals were brought to the front lines in Angola, and South African generals were brought to the front lines in Lebanon during the Israeli invasion in Lebanon. Okay, let me put it this way: the alliance got so intimate that Israeli generals would come to South Africa, do their military business, and then go zebra hunting for their holidays. Okay, I mean this is the way it went, and it wasn't just. Let me put it this way: the Israelis gave the South Africans tritium, which is an essential element if you really want your atom bomb to really go boom. You put some tritium into it, okay? And on the other hand, remember, South Africa is a major producer of uranium, so that they were providing the uranium for the Israeli atom bombs. And what's really kind of funny about this is, are you ready for this? I mean, this is surrealism.
Always need a laugh.
Always need a laugh, okay. The South Africans, because they were part of the free world, they were part of the atomic international treaties. The first plutonium that they gave to the Israelis, they gave it to them on the conditions that you can't use it in weapons and that we have to inspect your... Isn't that surreal?
Very honorable.
All right. Now, finally, after years of sitting there, in other words, the Israelis were willing to do that because it meant that they had stuff that they could use for the preliminary research. In other words, as you can see now with the Iranian thing, you step up the radioactivity of uranium. In other words, you can use lightly radioactive uranium for medical treatment and for scientific things, and then you add more and then it becomes bomb quality. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So when it was time to get to the bomb quality, by this time the South Africans dropped the thing, etc. But understand that the Americans knew all this was going on, and what makes it even worse, the black Democrats in Congress all knew what was going on, and they would make denunciations of South Africa, but they were a little on the quiet side, as it were, with regards to Israel. Finally, in the 80s, Congressman Conyers in Michigan, where there's a big Arab vote, okay, he introduced a bill, and Ron Dellums out on the coast introduced a bill saying that any country that continued to arm South Africa might get a cut-off of aid. But Reagan vetoed the bill, and then Congress overrode the veto. But the reality was that Reagan, however you pronounce it, he was running it, so they really didn't go chasing after the Israelis, okay? And to show you that...
So they kept doing it all the way to the end, until Mandela walked.
Well, let me put it this way. After the Americans said, we demand an embargo, the Israelis said, okay, we'll put in an embargo law, and then went right on.
All right, we just have about 3 minutes left.
Sure.
I wanted to get into reactions to the book. I mean, this isn't just a historical question. I mean, what do people in various communities think of it? What about the black community in the United States? Has there been articles, reviews about this particular issue?
The final call ran, which is Farrakhan's paper, Nation of Islam's paper, ran a report on the book and the Guardian articles on the book, etc. Judging right after the Guardian thing came out, so you can't quite call it a review, if you know what I mean, of the book. In other words, they're reviewing the discussion of the book rather than the book. But, you know, I mean, they said it's obviously an important book, etc. I haven't seen too much elsewhere on it, and amazingly, because the Gaza flotilla came along right after the book, it drew attention away from the book. However, he did. Polakov Saransky spoke at the Palestine Center in Washington, so he's open to. I don't know if you invited him. You know, if the struggle invited him, I don't know if he'd come. But on the other hand, I'm sure you could put together a coalition at Yale or something like that where he might come.
I mean, another aspect of the book is the fact that it sort of nails down even more that Israel does have nuclear weapons. And if that's the case, they're not eligible for U.S. foreign aid.
Ah, hey, but now we got our man Obama, and Obama literally said when Netanyahu just got here about a week ago, we're not going to chase after you on the atomic question because you're in a rough neighborhood. We know that. Okay? Now, when you realize, number one, as Polakov Saransky points out, Obama's first political speech was in 1981 at an anti-apartheid rally at Occidental College in Los Angeles. Understand that the alliance with Israel and South Africa was public knowledge at that time. So he knew then, and you know, knows to this minute, that Israel armed South, you know, helped South Africa build an atomic bomb, okay? And he's talking about the tough neighborhood, etc. He's reached a point where he literally said, I know we're in a tough neighborhood. Excuse me, I meant Israel is in a tough neighborhood. It was in the Times. Okay, this kind of, he's so identified with Israel, you know? Okay, I mean, let me put it this way. This recent meeting with Netanyahu and Obama, everybody has the same picture. I mean, all the journalists, whatever their politics. An election is coming up in the United States. Obama wants the Democrats to win, so he has to make nice to the Israelis, and so that the Jewish campaign contributions and votes don't go to the Republican Party. And Israel could blow up your grandmother, so to speak. You know, it doesn't matter between now and the election. Now everybody knows that there are real deep problems because the last meeting of Obama and Netanyahu, Obama literally kept him waiting in the office and, you know, went to have lunch.
But it's all temporarily suspended till the election.
Till the election. Okay.
All right, well, we got to close now with this book. I'm sure that
let me put it this way. Folks, read the book, okay? It really has every conceivable thing. Let me put it this way. On a scale of 100, you know, like a test with 100 is the top thing, I would give it a 95. Okay? It has weaknesses.
All right, 95 is a high recommendation.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, and we have been talking about the unspoken alliance between Israel and South Africa during the age of apartheid, and it's a book to read.
Okay.